Good morning. It's Illegal Shift coming to you live from the One More and I'm Out of Here studios and a second place, possibly a basement somewhere at an undisclosed location. I'm going to pause for editing. Coming from an undisclosed location. Now, when the audio listeners hear this, it'll be a pristine joke, just like me. Joining me, as always, is Jason Kiefer. He's the host of the show. I'm John. I'm a 911 dispatcher. We're gonna talk about sports, and what a weekend for sports, and what a weekend for everything that you care about. Let me just ask you, just generally speaking, Kiefer, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Like this has been like one of the greatest weeks ever.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's up there for sure. But other than that, I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
So you're doing great, but other than that, you're also doing very, very well.
Yes. Yeah.
Boy, that's
How are
that's like
you?
you're like I have top scores in both of my two top categories. That's how good I'm doing.
Fucking killing it. Killing it.
You're doing great. How's work going for you?
It's good. I'm off for a little bit. I'm on a Kelly week, and then I have a warthog function this weekend, so I have a vacation day on Saturday, so I don't go back to work until Tuesday.
The Warthogs are your motorcycle gang.
That is correct. Big bad gang of cops and firemen raising money. Now we drink a lot of beer while we do it. Let's be honest, but
And probably a lot of illegal things. The James McGee show is here, so we have another show watching our show.
yeah, fucking James McGee. He was in D.C. for the inauguration or part of it.
Yeah. Bone Cold says John's worst nightmare has come true. Eagles versus Redskins to go to the Super Bowl. Also, congrats on the Natty, Keith. Yeah, but I mean, my life's an endless parade of nightmarish torture. It's just another page in that book. Do you mind if we just go ahead and get at it and pay some bills? I guess I've been cold lately, been busy, but other than that, I'm fine. Some things are working out for old John, but not everything.
What's working out? Give me an example.
Well, I mean, I also like the president. That's what's working out for me personally. That's my personal business that's going well.
Oh, you killed it. It's perfect.
I could tick one for old John. Guys, support the show. Go to ghostbed.com. Use the offer code WOLFPACK. You could save up to 40% of what you find there. The most comfortable mattresses, adjustable frames, cooling technology, possibly stolen from aliens, crashed in Roswell in 1947. The U.S. government's been reverse engineering that anti-gravity and free energy technology for 60 years, 70 years, however long ago that was. We've perfected the art of it. And now you can get it for a perfected price. That's right, 40% off by going to ghostbed.com using the offer code WOLFPACK. They've supported veterans and first responders like Kiefer. If you're someone who's out there fighting fires in this dreadful, bitter cold, you need a warm place to sleep all day while you're on shift. And that's exactly where Kiefer will find himself when next time he's on duty, is in a ghost bed, resting and relaxing on the taxpayer dime, right. all with the image of a hero. And that's because Cincinnati is not on fire. He can rest easily. He does not have to look so bad as so many underqualified, diversity hired twink firefighters out of Los Angeles who cannot do anything. It's a pretty bold stance to come out against firemen in Los Angeles, but I just want to remind listeners of the show, I have always been against firefighters. I have not changed anything. Nothing has happened that has moved me in terms of my views on firefighters. Go back and listen to the tapes. It's all there. I've always hated firefighters.
John has all the receipts.
I have all the receipts for that. The show is also brought to you by Liberty Steel and Wire. For over 125 years, Liberty has been a leader in the steel industry. It's located in Peoria, Illinois. The facility is one of the largest wire and rod mills in the United States. They produce 700,000 tons of steel each year, a major recycler. Much of Liberty's steel is manufactured and reproduced steel. The metal is melted, purified, refined, and poured on site. And of course, Liberty is the third largest employer in all of Peoria. So thank you to Liberty Steel and Wire. When you're looking for steel and wire, think Liberty.
That's right. You know what?
Billet, rebar, rod, industrial wire.
I really appreciate their
even agricultural fence. You can get it from Liberty Steel and Wire in Peoria, Illinois.
I mean, with a name like Liberty, how can you not love it?
You not want to also get your testing supplies from Liberty Medical. I mean, they're not. You want to get it if you got the diabetes.
Yeah.
Liberty will send your diabetes testing supplies right to your door.
You're fucking Ozempic.
They were the first ones to send stuff directly to your door. Was Liberty? We all thought that was crazy. I'm like, how can you send diabetic testing supplies to people's doors? And now it's like we got people shooting down drones from Walmart.
You're not wrong.
It used to be Wilford Brimley, on a horse outside your house with your diabetes tested supplies.
Check your sugar. Check it off.
Check your sugar. Check it often.
God, he scared the shit out of me. He reminded me of my grandfather. Just an angry fucking man.
Yeah, did your grandfather ever show you a stump like Wilford Brimley did?
No, he did not.
Let me ask you this question. Running for president, Wilford Brimley or Andy Griffith, who are you voting for?
Oh, Andy Griffith all day long.
Oh, Andy was the Democrat, so I see what you want for America. You want the white man in chains. You want the coalition of aggrieved people to be catered to once again. We are 2 days to the Donald Trump years, and you are begging for Biden type politics to come back because that's what Andy Griffith wanted for all of us.
You carpetbagged son of a bitch.
He was a carpetbagger. Let's start talking about the fun stuff.
Let's do it.
Ohio State. Keith, just take it away. I mean, I could read an article from it and talk about it, and I'll do those things because even though I told you I didn't want to, you sent me 3 more articles on it. So just tell me. I mean, I didn't get to watch it because I was at work doing the Lord's work, but they took on this team called Notre Dame from Indiana, where the Irish people are. So it all makes sense to me. What happened? Tell me how it went down.
So obviously, I was on cloud 9. I agree. The first half was kind of boring, but I mean, Ohio State, just started running it up. But Notre Dame came back and made it an actual game, in that second half. But just so excited. I mean, I've been, that's my jam. I mean, normally Michigan is like my Super Bowl. We lost that one. Everybody counted the Buckeyes out. Didn't think we'd be able to overtake Oregon, kick the living shit out of them.
I remember that.
And the fact that they came away with a national championship is just absolutely phenomenal. And all the Michigan fans, or Michigan fucks as I call them, talking all kinds of shit. Well, we beat you. Well, you didn't come back and win a national championship back to back. You didn't do it. But I have a real issue with Notre Dame not complying and going into a conference because they're independent. So I don't know all the politics behind it. I'm not even going to pretend to act like I know, but I feel like they should have to be in a conference. Pick it, pick whichever one you want, whether it's, Big 10, Big 12, whatever. I don't care. But all the Notre Dame fans, I think Notre Dame fans are just as annoying as Michigan fans. So I found it very amusing. And we were watching it with some Notre Dame fans, and they were not happy. But I was super happy. It was great.
Why should they have to go to a conference?
I just don't understand. I don't understand the independent, and they've always been that way. I just don't get it. And like I said, I'm not claiming to be an expert on that piece of it. I just don't understand why they don't. And, maybe a Notre Dame fan can hit me on Instagram or let me know why it is they stay the way they are. I don't know. So
they should have to do it because you don't understand it?
I don't understand how a team can just be independent. Where they're the only other team. They're the only team that isn't part of a conference.
I think I can unpack it.
Unpack it for me.
So we've got this fireman in Ohio who says they should have to go to a conference because he doesn't understand it. It's possible that Notre Dame doesn't want to have to do what other people tell them to do.
That's fair.
So they don't go to a conference in which there would be certain authorities that would tell them what to do.
See, I knew you hated me. Okay.
I don't hate you. I'm just using you as an unfortunate example. I don't have a third person here. If Rob was here, I would have ripped him a new one, but he's not here. It's just you. So
it's just me.
I don't know. I don't mind the idea of the independent football team that can make the decisions that are best for themselves and do what they want to do and play who they want to play, and they're not forced to have some contrived rivalry or something. Or and I think I just generally think conferences should be smaller, and I think teams should have the ability to decide who they want to play. And when the situation for college football and the way money works is so much different than the NFL. And college teams it's really hard to kind of cluster them together. And I think maybe Notre Dame knows that, hey, some years we're going to field teams that can play with the best of the best. And some years we're going to field teams that, Bowling Green or Ball State's going to kick the shit out of, And I think that they just want to kind of be able to keep a hand on that wheel. I don't know. That's just a thought.
That's no, I'll jump on that thought. That's cool. I get it. I don't like it.
It's been a couple weeks, and I want to be able to get you through this. I don't want to hear next week that you have some unresolved things about it. So let's continue to talk about it until you feel better. So did it solve it for you, or are you still mad that they're exercising some sort of individual mandate over their destiny?
I still think it's bullshit, but I will accept it.
Okay.
Because you walked me through it.
This is really troubling, especially in light of your radical Andy Griffith politics. That you just you really don't understand the idea of someone making a decision for themselves. Notre Dame is people. It's a body of people, and it's their body, and it's their choice. I don't know how else I can phrase it.
Well, yeah, some of it's Jesus's team.
So. Nobody cares what I think. All right. This is from Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. As Ohio State collects Big Ten's second straight national title, the SEC is left wondering where its dominance went. Where did it go, Keith?
Right back to Columbus.
Dan Jarvis traveled here from Wheelersburg, Ohio, not merely to watch his Ohio State Buckeyes beat Notre Dame 34-23 to win the national championship on Monday. He came with a sign so he could mock the SEC, which of most of the last 2 decades dominated college football. The front row seats are $8,000. The hotel is $1,000, but the SEC watching from home is priceless. That's what the sign said, I take it, which is a callback to old Visa commercials from 15 years ago.
Right.
How timely. No SEC today, Jarvis crowed. They are at home watching on TV as they deserve. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really hanging in with what he's going after or why he feels this way. And for the second consecutive year, they had to watch a Big Ten team win it all. A year ago, Michigan maize and blue celebratory confetti flew in Houston. This year, it was Ohio State scarlet and gray, the weirdest combination of colors other than red and pewter down in Tampa Bay, being blasted from a cannon. It really is 2 ugly colors to put together, Steve Menchu said. I don't know why that's in this article. 2 in a row isn't much of a streak, but for the Big Ten, it is something. SEC teams won 13 of the previous 17 national titles, including a stretch of 7 consecutive. Alabama won, Georgia, Florida, and LSU took 2 each.
That's why the Big Ten versus SEC is such a big deal.
I got you. 3 of the others were won by Deep South ACC members, Clemson twice, and Florida State. Only Ohio State's triumph after the 2014 season broke the geographic lock. And now this. I think we just play a lot of great football, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti said. A lot of leagues play great football. What Ohio State accomplished in last year with Michigan, both of them. Just incredible runs. By the way, there's a picture of this guy. He is a madman. He is wearing pads outside of his jersey.
He looked like the Legion of Doom.
A more mental case I'm not sure I've seen recently. Although he does look like he might storm the Capitol at any time. For most of the last 2 decades, Big Ten teams were afterthoughts. When they did reach the playoffs, they often got run off the field only to hear fans singing SEC in celebration. There is no such unity in the Big Ten, certainly not between bitter rivals, Michigan and Ohio State. I didn't know you guys were rivals. There were no Big Ten chants, just, am I doing this right? I don't know the cadence of this. OHIO?
Yes.
Okay. Ringing into the Atlanta night. Many Wolverines fans spent the building to this joking. We think that they hoped a meteor would hit the game between the Buckeyes as nearly as they hated the Fighting Irish. I saw graphics that indicated that no one likes the Fighting Irish and no one likes Ohio State. So the people were just hoping that the world would end. Is that how many people felt?
If they are, they're ignorant and stupid.
Oh, there are more wrong opinions from Andy Griffith over here. When was the last time Notre Dame was in a national championship? I don't even know.
Oh, to be honest with you, I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
So we're talking about like the SEC becoming the dominant conference or whatever, but like, and I don't want to remind you that Notre Dame is an independent school, but like, when was the last time they accomplished anything like that? Still a lot. Still, the Big Ten did it. This year's playoff of Northern Aggression, Penn State joined OSU and Notre Dame in the semifinals. The playoff of Northern Aggression is a Civil War reference. I don't know if you're aware of that. May be enough to ease generations of acrimony and animus. Boy, acrimony and animus? You guys have both of that shit? Jesus. But this is a sign of a new era in college football. Name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal, which may or may not be an actual portal. I'm looking into it. Changing how rosters are built. The talent hasn't flattened out. It's spread out. Parity among the league. The ability to stop top 5 recruiting classes from topping one another, which Alabama and Georgia had mastered, is no longer the only route here. The SEC will be back, but for the Big Ten, it feels like something is being unlocked. Oh, nice. So did you enjoy the new playoff format and the way that everything's working? Do you feel like college football now, rather than say 10 years ago, is more enjoyable, or what are your feelings on it?
I do like the 12-team format. I think it's much better. And it gives that that melting pot of teams that you have a little bit better option or better chance to get in. But I think that the games just were much better. Like as far as like entertaining, close games or some blowouts that you didn't expect. But no, I do like the 12-team format.
Bone Cold says this, and close one ear because we get an Eagles fan is speaking. Smart move on the Notre Dame part because they don't have to split the $20 million each team received. However, Notre Dame is an honorary Big Ten member. TV revenue, they get a ton from NBC as an independent. Otherwise, their other sports are in a conference. Basketball is ACC, hockey is in Big Ten. Foxy's wondering whether or not anyone should trust me. Good move, Foxy. It all comes down to money as to why they're independent and not in a conference. Although in 2020, they were a member of the ACC for football. Ohio State won the national championship deep, beating the heart of the SEC country of Atlanta, Georgia. So those are some thoughts on the things that he thinks about. We will talk about the NFC championship. We will talk about it. If I survive, we will talk about the NFC championship, Bone Cold. That's why I put it at the end. You know why? Because I knew that is what you would be watching for, and I want your retention. YouTube has various statistics, but the length of time that people watch the show helps boost your show. And, we've got a lot to overcome because people would turn on the show and they would see Rob there and they would turn it off 30 seconds. Their retention length was the length of the countdown. That's all they ever got. I'm moving things to the back to keep you here. Am I allowed to make fun of him 3 times in an episode, or what's my limit?
Well, I mean, you've already done it, so you might as well just keep going.
I did it twice, yeah. You sent me another article about Ohio State. It's your show.
You don't have to read everything I send you, because then you get all bullshit if I don't send you stuff. But then when I do send you stuff, then you get bullshit. So it's a no-win. It's a no-win.
Either way, I just want to make you happy right now. So what is it you would like to do?
No-win.
All right, this from Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. College football playoff, the 5 key plays from Ohio State's national championship win over the Notre Dame. So let's talk about the actual game. And I'm going to ask you on each of these, Keith, because you sent this article to me, and I want to hear your take as a fan. Okay? So Riley Leonard's touchdown run. Notre Dame had to work really, really, really hard to get its first touchdown of the game. The Irish got the ball to start the game and turned the opening drive into a touchdown. But it took a lot of plays for that to happen. Riley Leonard's 1-yard touchdown run was the 18th of the drive, as the Irish faced 4 third downs and converted 2 fourth downs on this drive. Leonard carried the ball 9 times on the drive as he continued to be the player that Notre Dame turned to when it needed to get key yards on the ground. So what do you think about him making that first touchdown? Did it make you mad?
No, he had to have been tired as shit. I was actually surprised that Ohio State's defense was able to keep them on the field that long without, them just immediately scoring or, in a normal amount of plays. But, yeah, him carrying the ball 9 times, I was like, what the fuck is actually happening?
Were you nervous at all that apparently they had scored first?
No, Ohio State typically always comes out flat most of the season. The first half would just be garbage, and then they'd light the fires, in the locker room, and then they'd come, the second half, they'd just blow it up. But
hearing lighting the fires and blowing it up coming from you, a fireman, deeply concerning.
It's weird.
Quinshon Judkins' second touchdown. The Buckeyes had to wait a while to get the ball, but they couldn't stop scoring when they finally got it, just like Keefe, finding himself in his father's closet. He couldn't stop scoring after that. Ohio State scored touchdowns at all 3 of its first half drives, and all 3 of those drives had at least 10 plays. Jeremiah Smith capped off the first drive with a nifty route out of the backfield for an 8-yard touchdown, and Quinshon Judkins scored on a 9-yard run on a second drive. Judkins then found the end zone again with 27 seconds to go on a 6-yard catch from Will Howard. The touchdown capped off a 12-play, 80-yard drive that gave the Buckeyes a 21-7 lead before halftime. How buzzed were you at this point? You had to be feeling good. You watched Donnie J. Trump come back into the White House. You were pre-gaming since, noon your time, probably 11:30 your time.
It was actually probably earlier.
You were tripping balls, in the morning before this game even started. Where are you at halftime with the Buckeyes taking a 21-7 lead and Freedom winning 100-0 in this country?
I was feeling absolutely zero pain. Absolutely zero. I don't know if you're
a boat or set yourself on fire again or anything.
I don't know if your PBT of at 0.240. I don't think I was there, but
you're saying you're going under?
Yeah, I was under at that point.
Okay. Here's the problem. We can do your over on your PBT. I didn't get your breath, I guess, technically, but I did get a sample of your blood.
Oh, God.
So you don't remember your blood being taken. I guarantee you that it was higher than 3 times the legal limit. Just something to think about. But I literally have your blood.
It was a great day.
It was a great day. Notre Dame's failed fake punt. Not only did Ohio State carry a 2-score lead into halftime, but the Buckeyes got the ball to start the second half. Judkins scored his 3rd touchdown of the night on a 1-yard run, 3 plays after he broke the 70-yard run. Trailing 20-7, Notre Dame needed an answer. Desperate, sweaty, gross, Irish. It was almost got one despite going 3 and out on its first drive in the second half. The Irish snuck backup quarterback Steve Angeli out into the field with the punt team. So I don't know how they snuck him, like under a jersey. Did they cover up his number or what? He lined up as an up man in the backfield before taking the snap. Ohio State was prepared for the fake, but Jordan Faison had a step on his defender as he ran out a route on the sideline. Angeli delivered a catchable pass to Faison, but the ball went through his hands and fell to the turf in front of the Ohio State sideline. The Buckeyes went on to kick a field goal after the next drive to extend their lead to 24 points. You must have been feeling very comfortable at this point.
I was.
At the time, the field goal looked like a game clincher. It instead turned out to be incredibly important in the context of how the rest of the game played out. So how are you feeling after that fake?
I still felt good, but me being a Bengals fan as well, until the clock goes zeros, I don't put anything.
No lead is safe.
That's right.
Yeah. I felt the same way on election night. I didn't even watch it until hours after it was over. Everyone's just like, wow, this was easy. We thought it was going to be controversial, but what an enjoyable night of watching liberals melt down. I'm just like, God damn it, I missed it. I had to go back and watch all the liberals melted down after the fact. Notre Dame's missed field goal. Jaden Greathouse caught a 34-yard touchdown from Leonard with 3:03 to go. And a 2-point conversion catch by Jeremiah Love cut Ohio State's lead to 16 points. The Irish then got a big break on the first play of the fourth quarter when Emeka Ibuka fumbled on the Notre Dame 21-yard line. And Ohio State scored on the drive. The game would certainly have been out of reach for Notre Dame offense. That was a moribund between its two touchdowns. Instead, the Irish had a chance to cut the lead to one score, and they got it in the red zone after Leonard found Greathouse for 11 yards on a fourth down. But the drive stalled at the OSU 9-yard line when Leonard threw two incomplete passes, and it looked like Notre Dame would need to go for the touchdown on fourth down with less than 10 minutes to go. Instead, Coach Marcus Freeman, who you've spoken of highly, decided to send the field goal team out. It was a head-scratching decision. After all, 16 points is 2 touchdowns and two-point conversions. A field goal would mean Notre Dame would still need 2 touchdowns and an extra point. Math isn't really working out here.
It was very confusing.
It sounds like a Mike McCarthy decision, or 2 field goals and a touchdown and an extra point to get the game tied. But Freeman was apparently enamored with the idea of getting points after the turnover, yet Notre Dame didn't get any after Mitch Jeter's 27-yard field goal bounced off the left uprights with 9:27 to go. Doink.
Shanked the shit out of it.
That's your sole commentary, is that he shanked it? You don't want to talk about how good that made you feel?
No,
it's all right. You don't have to have good feelings for everything.
They're still winning at this point. And I'm like, okay, now I can get comfortable.
All right. Will Howard's completion to Jeremiah Smith. Notre Dame's decision to kick the field goal looked even worse in hindsight after the Irish got a quick stop against Ohio State's offense. Of course, it was far from a guarantee that Notre Dame would have scored a touchdown had it gone for the score on fourth down. But the Irish still found themselves down 2 scores when they got the ball back with 6:20 to go. The lead went down to 8 just over 2 minutes later when Leonard connected with Greathouse for a 30-yard touchdown. But Notre Dame still needed to get a stop to have a chance to win, and that didn't happen. Howard ran for a first down on the second play of Ohio State's final drive and was subsequently stopped on 2 keepers with less than 3 minutes to go. After Notre Dame called its second timeout ahead of the third down, the Irish played man coverage and sent pressure at Howard. That backfired. Already one of the best wide receivers in college football as a freshman, Smith was one-on-one in coverage with Christian Gray. Smith immediately got separation on a go route down the field, and Howard found him essentially to seal the win.
Jeremiah Smith is absolutely phenomenal.
The completion of Smith easily put Ohio State in field goal range, and Jaden Fielding's kicking with less than 30 seconds to go pushed the Buckeyes' lead back to 2 scores, and the game officially ran out of reach of Notre Dame. And that is a page in history.
You're so good at that. You are so good.
I stumble sometimes, but this is mostly just coffee grounds. There's almost no liquid in it. Every time I drink this, I am being blasted back awake. All right. I'm glad that you got to enjoy your Ohio State Buckeyes winning. Not exactly my bailiwick, but let's move on to stuff that I know about.
Let's do it.
Fucking Chiefs. Swear to God, I hate them so badly. They literally this week, and I know what you're gonna say, what took so long?
Thank you.
But I hate them more than the Vikings now. I think I just didn't reassess the rankings of non-divisional, non-conference teams of how much I hate them. I hate them more than the Vikings. It means a lot. You guys don't know how much I've hated them because normally I don't rant about the Vikings. You know why? I don't have to. The Vikings take care of themselves. The Vikings make fun of themselves. The Vikings just do Vikings things, and I don't have to do anything to them.
Did you see the meme about the AFC Championship that they're renaming it the Arrowhead Invitational?
That sounds about right. I didn't see that meme. I have seen memes where the Bills are lined up on the line of scrimmage against the refs, and that's what we're looking forward to this weekend. This comes from Athlon Sports, which is a source I don't normally use. But you know what? After last week, I thought I was listening to that, and I was just like, I don't feel good about my performance last week. You don't want to have 2 bad games in a row. So you kind of get in there and you kind of make sure that what you're reading is like really best for the show. Mahomes rules are making a mockery of NFL officiating. Would you agree?
Yes.
I would say that NFL officiating is also making a mockery of NFL officiating.
That is true, too.
The Kansas City Chiefs deserved to beat the Houston Texans.
Deserved.
But
interesting.
Why did referee Clay Martin give Patrick Mahomes so much help? This is by Doug Farrar. Before we get into the clown show that we saw from the referee Clay Martin and his all-star crew of officials at Kansas City Chiefs 23-14 win over the Houston Texans that will send the Chiefs to their 7th straight AFC Championship game, a stunning feat in its own right. It should be said that the Chiefs deserve to win the game. Yeah, we don't want any like Deflategate controversy stuff where like we talk about how Tom Brady didn't deserve to be there when they defeated the Colts by something like 50 points. Should be said that the Chiefs deserve to win the game. It has been the case all season long that Kansas City made the play they needed to win when they needed to do it, and their opponent did not. It wasn't a pretty win by any means. The Texans had 18 first downs to Kansas City's 14, and the defending champs were outgained 336 to 212 in yards. But great teams know how to make the plays when they're needed. So why was Clay Martin's crew seemingly in the Chiefs' pocket? This goes back to week 16, Keith. I was watching the Christmas game, the Texans and the Chiefs, and it just made me sick. I couldn't even watch it. It was unwatchable. It was absolutely unwatchable because every single time the Chiefs did something, kind of had a blunder, they didn't convert on a third down, flag. It's the Chiefs. They get a free set of downs. At every moment that's a turning point in the game that you could say, well, this is the opportunity that the opposition needs. And if they can capitalize it, if they can get 7 or 8 points out of this, they're going to get ahead of steam going and it's going to be a closer game. And it's these small pivot points in a game that ultimately determine its outcome. And Clay Martin and the referee crew have a hand on the wheel. So who's really driving the car if they're, correcting every time the Kansas City Chiefs are about to mount the curve?
Right.
For most of those complaints can be put down to opposing fan dismay after another inevitable loss. But in this game, it was shameful. The Texans were penalized 8 times for 82 yards, and the Chiefs saw just 4 flags for 29 yards. 2 calls were particularly egregious. With 7 minutes left in the first quarter, the Chiefs had a 3rd and 8 on their own 33-yard line. Edge rusher Will Anderson Jr., who had a great game, appeared to sack Mahomes clean, but it was decided that he had roughed Mahomes, which is pretty hard to see from any angle. I watched this live. Will Anderson's he essentially pushed him backwards. That would have killed the drive for the Chiefs, and the flag flew. And again, as I said, as a moment where the Chiefs are going to turn over the ball, they're going to have to punt it because someone dared to even touch Patrick Mahomes. The flag flies. We see lots of videos, these AI videos where the refs are going out and say, all hail, King Mahomo, automatic Chiefs win. Those things are getting less and less funny because now you've seen those things and now you watch the game and you're just like, my God, that's what I'm watching.
You're actually seeing it in real time.
I'm watching AI I'm watching a farce. I'm watching the thing that's making fun of its own self happening in real time. Troy and Joe, I agree based on what you saw. ESPN Rules analyst Russell Yerk said, it looked like he came up high with the helmet, but it looked like that first contact was to the upper chest area. I didn't see anything that it was supported a foul. Replay could come in and pick up a flag for a foul for high contact to the head and neck area quarterback, but if there's any contact at all, they can't pick it up. It looks like there might have been some contact, even if not forcible enough to be a foul. There's enough that they can't pick it up. So to be persnickety with what New York can and cannot review is ridiculous. Does the NFL want to get these calls right or not? And I sent you this. I sent this to you on the Instagram. But Will Anderson Jr., he said, we knew it was going to be us against the refs going into the game. He said that in a press conference.
Yep.
I can't wait to see how much they fine him for saying that. The head coach of the Houston Texans was saying the same thing. He knew he got up on that podium and said, we knew it was going to be us against everybody, all the haters, all the naysayers, and all this. He was about to say, we knew it was going to be us versus the refs. The Texans did not play well enough to win. The Texans had, particularly as the game wound down, they were falling apart. You could just see the writing on the wall. But we did see the referees completely in the bag for the Chiefs the entire time. So when that
changes momentum. I mean, when you change momentum like that, then the wheels tend to fall off, and it shouldn't. If you're a good team, you should be able to keep it together. But when you get a momentum shift like that on multiple, you're getting hit multiple times with it. Yeah, I mean, I can see exactly where that happens.
With 1:52 left in the third quarter, the Chiefs had a 1st and 10 at their own 35-yard line. Mahomes slid late. 2 Texans defenders collided above him. They came together right above his head. And somehow linebacker Henry To'o, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It looks like a Star Wars name. It's a bunch of T's and O's and apostrophes. He was flagged for unnecessary roughness. I don't think he even touched Patrick Mahomes, really. The 2 Texans players ran helmet to helmet into each other as Patrick Mahomes ducks down underneath him. Oh, come on, Buck exhorted on the penalty was called. Yeah, I mean, he's a runner, and he could not disagree with that more, Aikman said, and he barely gets hit. That's the second penalty now that's been called against the Texans. Troy, I agree with you, Yerk said. There's no enforceable contact to the head and neck area. The 2 Houston players hit each other. That should not have been a foul. When it comes to roughing the passer, which is a judgment call, the league's rulebook states emphatically that when in doubt about a roughness call or potentially dangerous tactic against the quarterback, the referee should always call roughing the passer. So they called it because it's a potentially dangerous tactic. These 2 guys were not operating dependently. They were not like, okay, let's both of us smash our heads together like he's a crab claw and we're a pincher and we're gonna get the meat out of him. That's not what happened. It's too incidental, but that doesn't cover all the roughing the passer and other quarterback calls that should be called and aren't. Martin's explanations after the game did nothing to help matters. I like how apparently he's allowed to have explanations.
Right. How many times have we talked though, as far as having full-time refs, them having actual repercussions when they do fuck up, just like these players, these players get fined. If you have a, helmet to helmet, they'll catch a fine, but there is no retribution for the officials. It's just, this crew chief and his crew have, called this many roughing the passers or whatever, illegal contacts, whatever. But when you sit there, there's no Q&A for that. You have Q&A at your work. I have Q&A at my work. Why do they not?
Well, that's what you're talking about, quality assurance. They said make all aspects of roughing the passer immediately reviewable and dial back the obvious intent to protect the quarterbacks who are runners to an illogical degree. The reason when they won't do that is something that they're not talking about as much as they used to, but they talked about the games being too slow. They didn't like the games exceeding a 3-hour limit, and so they created all these rules in order to quicken the pace of the game. But the mere fact that he was 7-0 in Chiefs games is a bad look for the league in terms of its integrity. I always put it in terms of 2 camps: integrity, the integrity of the game, the integrity of the sport, the integrity of the league, but also just gambling. If you just want to make it about money, you're putting Clay Martin in there and you're making it about him being 7-0 with the Chiefs. You can put him on a different game that weekend. If you say his record with the Chiefs is 7-0, and that's the appearance of impropriety, how often do we talk about that? Like in the world of like police and even firemen.
Yeah.
We talk about the appearance of impropriety. Even the appearance of impropriety is impropriety. If we're talking about a divisional game, it's a tremendously important game, a lot of money, a lot of decisions, postseason, everything's going to be decided by this game. This is the biggest game by definition that both teams have faced all year. And we're going to put somebody who has the appearance of impropriety in charge of it, send him over to the other AFC game.
Right.
Swap him out. Don't continue to put him in Chiefs games. I get that they don't have an infinite number of resources, but we didn't have an infinite number of games this weekend. There's plenty of other referees lying around. And don't say, well, Clay Martin's the best for the situation, because that impropriety, that record of 7-0 is enough to cast a shadow over the outcome of the game. And they could have predicted this. They said, football is a crazy game. There could be a lot of things happening. There's a lot of discretion. What will happen if the Chiefs come out, even though they're favored to win over the Texans, and Clay Martin will go to 7-0? What will people say if that happens? The people who decide, the ref crews, can sit there and think that. What will people say if he's 6-0 and the Chiefs win it and he goes to 7-0? That will be a bad look for us. We should anticipate bad looks and then be proactive about avoiding them. We wouldn't be having this conversation at all, even if the refereeing was bad this weekend, but we wouldn't be talking about a specific person, and we wouldn't be able to level the specific allegations that we're making. But they didn't do that, and they could have.
Yeah. I mean, it's all there. I mean, you can look at the stats. You can look at the games that he's worked. And I completely agree with you in the fact that I probably would have pushed him somewhere else.
I don't see the reason why it was a problem to do that. It seems to me like it would have been an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Jetty's helping me with my ratios, I guess. I'm gonna have to go like pour a whole bunch of like spring water in this coffee or something in order to keep it from blowing up my heart. But let's keep moving. Let's move on to the Redskins. The Redskins have not been to a championship game since 1992. Keith, do you remember 1992?
Barely.
Okay, well, I'm glad you said that because
It was the year my dad died. If that helps, do you want to talk about that again?
I was already going to apologize to you after the show for mentioning that.
I was 12. I was 12 around that time, and I had to look this up because I couldn't remember when they won the last time. So, I just want to give you space right now to just resolve the situation with me and mentioning your dad. I'm sorry. Can I say something in my defense? You sure can.
You're in your mid 40s now, right?
Correct.
And you're still hurting. You're still missing out on something that happened when your father passed away when you were 12. Part of your transition from boyhood into manhood was, and I'm not making fun of you, but it was interrupted. You lost something. My dad never loved me at all. So if my dad's still alive and at least you had something to lose, when my dad passes away, it will mean nothing to me.
We are making strides in our
So I'm sorry if I brought up
program.
If I brought up the death of your father as a painful thing, but cherish that pain because his absence means that his presence mattered. I don't have that. My dad's been gone from my life for years and years and years, and it hasn't changed anything about my life.
But you know what you do have, John? My love.
Thank you. I'm glad we're coming back together. Sorry it was too serious. Do you remember 1992? You were how old?
12.
You were 12 years old. I was in second grade. But let's talk about 1992 from a purely non-emotional point of view.
Non-emotional.
The Space Shuttle Endeavour had its first flight. And that's right. That's the one that replaced the Space Shuttle Challenger. George H.W. Bush and Boris Yeltsin announced the end of the Cold War. They said it's over. We're done. Russia, United States, we're not fighting anymore. All this James Bond shit's done with. And then, of course, Bill Clinton won the presidential election later that year. In Los Angeles, the acquittal of 4 police officers in the Rodney King beating triggered massive riots throughout Los Angeles. The riots lasted for 6 days. 63 people were killed, over $1 billion of damages before the order was restored by the military. But luckily, Los Angeles entered a period of peaceful tranquility, which lasts to this day. Radical anti-apartheid activist and infamous diamond thief Nelson Mandela died after 30 years in prison in South Africa. And the Winter Olympics were held in Albertville, France. That doesn't even sound real, does it? Albertville, France?
I don't remember that.
Albertville sounds like a place in North Carolina.
Right.
So
that are like upstate New York.
Upstate New York, Albertville, New York. Yeah. I don't think the Winter Olympics were held in Albertville, New York. Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus was the #1 song. And I Will Always Love You, the cover, the Dolly Parton cover, sang out by Whitney Houston, was a top track.
What a blast from the past. Good work, sir.
Yeah. Sorry that your dad also died that year. I could never have blamed the Redskins for bringing the subject up. It's not my fault. So, rookie Jaden Daniels makes rare NFL history in Redskins upset win over the Lions. That was a huge game. Did you watch that game? I watched that game.
I got to see bits and pieces. I didn't see all of it.
I could not believe the Lions could not get their poop in a group.
Yep.
And get that shit back together. Watching Dan Campbell kind of like start to look sad and sweat. And he's like, I can't sweat. I have to save the moisture for the tears later. I can't do this.
And I was so pulling for the Lions.
I was too. I don't want to see the
Lions
Redskins succeed. And I was confused during the game too, because like the Lions were kind of an unstoppable juggernaut, and it looked like it was their year of years, and it was finally going to happen. And we wanted history to happen. They got their 15-win season, I believe. It was the franchise, record that many wins in a season. And we wanted to see them return to the NFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl, make their first appearance. And even if they didn't win, that would be historic, and it would be something for Detroit. And, for those of us who are nothing but sour grapes over here because of everything that's happened since well over a year ago, someone who hasn't felt any football-related joy in that amount of time, I was trying to buy into that. But to be honest with you, I've kind of gotten so sick of Detroit so quickly that as I was watching, every time I saw the Redskins doing something amazing, I couldn't help it. It was natural. I cheered. I'm like, oh my God, that was great. And the others watching the game with me, I'm like, you're going for the Lions. Why are you happy about that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know. I saw a rainbow and now I'm gay. I don't know who I'm cheering for anymore.
I have no idea what's happening to me right now.
The other thing is like, so I hate the Redskins with all my heart. And I know what to do when I see them on the field. But this team with the W on the helmet and they don't even look good, I guess, in my opinion. And it's just like, who is this team? I get all kinds of like murky, weird feelings. Like I don't have strong feelings towards the Commanders because why the hell would I? But I have to constantly logically reconcile in my mind. This is the same team I've hated since I was a boy. Logging what will be by far the biggest upset of the weekend, the Washington Redskins took down the Detroit Lions on Saturday night, knocking the NFC's 1 seed out of the NFL playoffs. The 45-31 victory for Washington not only sends them to their first NFC championship game since 1992, but also rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels joining some rare company. Daniels, the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 draft, will become just the 6th rookie quarterback in NFL history to play in the conference championship game. Let's look at the other lists. I want to see what you think about some of these other players. Sean King from the Buccaneers.
I barely remember him.
Don't even know. I've never heard of that guy. Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers.
Rapist and Hall of Famer.
All right. I mean, I'm glad that you at least mentioned 2 things.
I'm sorry.
Joe Flacco.
Flacco's been he's been there, man.
He's still there. He's still around.
Yeah, he's been awesome. He came out of retirement as an old man and still did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering where he's going to play next year. Mark Sanchez, before the butt fumble, he was actually a really good player.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy. I guess, yeah. I don't know. He's doing okay. And then now Jayden Daniels. A 24-year-old shined on Sunday in Detroit, completing 22 of 31 passes for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran 52 yards and 52 carries while leading the Redskins offense to 38 points. That's not bad for a rookie. Now he's locked into the NFC Championship game. Washington will take on the winner of the Eagles and Rams games, which turned out to be the Eagles, which breaks my heart. As the 6th seed, the Commanders will be on the road regardless, with kickoff scheduled for 3 p.m. on Sunday. A win would send Washington to their first Super Bowl in over 30 years, with Daniels becoming the first rookie quarterback in NFL history to start a Super Bowl. So there's still history to be made this year, everyone.
Yeah.
It's an awesome story all around, except for those of us who hate the Redskins, and we have to remind ourselves that we do. The other side of this is the true sadness that abides within my heart. Not just about my father never loving me. That's right. My dad doesn't love me. And the Cowboys NFC Championship game drought. Now they own the streak of the longest drought. The Cowboys missed out on making the NFC playoffs this year, ending a chance to end a decades-long NFC Championship game drought, while the NFC East rival Redskins held the distinct and unfortunate label of holding the NFC's longest championship game appearance drought. The Redskins ended that on Saturday night with the win over the Lions in the division round. Now the Cowboys proved it might not be hard to keep up with the Joneses after all. What an ironic turn of phrase. Dallas' last appearance in the NFC Championship game was in 1995 when John was in 5th grade. More specifically, it came on January 14th, 1996, when the Cowboys defeated the Packers to advance to Super Bowl 30. They would defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a matchup to give the Cowboys their 5th and last Super Bowl victory. God, I remember that night.
I do remember that one.
If only I had known to commit suicide right then as an 11-year-old. Now with Dallas searching.
I'm glad you didn't.
Well, whatever. Now with Dallas searching for a new head coach and once again reach the promised land, there's not only to add pressure to another ring to Dallas's jewelry box, but at least comes within striking distance of one. Yeah, but now with the Redskins doing well and the Eagles, keeping their shit together, it's not enough that the Giants suck. I'm glad that we have one thing going right for us. When was the last time the Cowboys went to the NFC Championship game? That was 96, like I said. They finished the regular season 12-4, and they received a first-round bye. They defeated their hated rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, in the NFC divisional round before downing the Packers in the championship game. They would defeat the Steelers in the Super Bowl 27-17. The Cowboys aren't exactly running a playoff drought, however. While Dallas missed the playoffs in 2024, they did make them in 2023, losing to the Packers in the wild card round. Here's the longest droughts. Here's when each team made the last appearance. So we'll start at the bottom. Well, the Redskins just broke a drought there. 2024 is their most recent appearance. Same for Eagles. The Lions, 2023. It's not much of a drought. Rams took a couple years off from the playoffs, 2021. Buccaneers, they last went to that game in 2020. Same for the Packers. They went to the NFC Championship. The Saints were last in that game in 2018. The Vikings, 2017. Falcons, 2016. This all feels like recent history, right?
It kind of does.
We're getting actually up to the point now where it's about 9 years ago that Dallas was the second seed and they were defeated by the Falcons, or they were defeated, and eventually the Falcons that year went on to the NFC Championship. Then the Panthers. Now we're really getting to old territory. Do you remember when the Panthers were good? That was 10 years ago. The Seahawks, 11 years ago. The Giants were good. They went to the NFC Championship game in 2011. The Chicago Bears were there in 2010.
And the Cowboys.
In 1995. So we go from year to year to year. 17, 16, 15, 14. And then kind of a big league to 2011, 2010, 1995. It's I said this to my boss earlier this year. We're both Cowboys fans. That's why I was hired. It's getting to the point now where we look at the legacy of America's team through the lens of history, and we're getting enough history now since 1995 that the overall greatness of the franchise historically is now it's teetering on a precipice. And my dad doesn't love me. So both of those things kind of working against me right now. You wanted to mention this. I shouldn't
laugh at your despair.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I was supposed to commit suicide when I was 11. It's my fault that I'm still hanging around. It just got worse and worse and worse. But everyone should take heart because my life will eventually end in some kind of catastrophe. So, all right.
Oh, shit.
You wanted to talk about this. I didn't even see how bad this was until really this morning. But I guess in the Bills-Ravens, there was a drop that is causing quite a kerfuffle.
Yeah, I can't get my article to pull up for whatever reason. So
I got it pulled up.
I have to rely on you.
All right. Well, this comes from
big deal.
Well, yes, from Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. Kyle Van Noy defends Mark Andrews after a fumble, drops versus the Bills. It's a team game. The defense could have played better. Andrews' teammates have supported him after a tough game in Sunday's loss to the Bills. So the Ravens started out strong. I remember in week 1, they were playing to impress with only a room to go up from there. And now their season comes to sort of a disastrous end. Add Kyle Van Noy to the list of Baltimore Ravens coming to the defense of Mark Andrews after he lost a fumble and dropped a would-be game-tying 2-point conversion with 1:33 left remaining in the 27-25 AFC divisional round loss to the Buffalo Bills. Andrews did not speak after the game and was not available to the media on Monday. But head coach John Harbaugh, quarterback Lamar Jackson, left tackle Ronnie Stanley, and safety Kyle Hamilton, among others, supported the tight end and echoed the sentiment that it was a team loss and not one on an individual's shoulders. You win as a team and you lose as a team, said Ravens linebacker Kyle Van Noy in this week's episode of McCoy and Van Noy. I think, is that Colt McCoy or LaShawn McCoy?
Colt McCoy.
I hope so, because
I think there's LaShawn McCoy too.
I don't like LaShawn McCoy. I don't like him.
I don't like him.
Van Noy, who had been teammates with Andrews since 2023.
A lot of oys.
Yes. Also brought up Andrew's recovery from a broken leg last season in a car accident that the tight end was involved in on his way to the Ravens facility during training camp in August. He's had untimely mistakes, but as well as John Harbaugh said, we are in a bunch of games, a bunch of these games without Mark. No, he scored 10 plus touchdowns, I think like 11.
It's just very uncharacteristic of him.
He's making a positive difference. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to fuck up, but he has definitely helped them win this whole season. So the fact that he's taking it as hard as he is sucks. But, he's a competitor, so I understand it. I get it.
It also doesn't help that he's receiving death threats from Baltimore fans.
Correct. And
guys in Baltimore, like, we already have a team that does stupid shit like this. They're called the Philadelphia Eagles. If you want to be the team that has no humanity and it behaves in utterly detestable ways, utterly classless ways, leave it to the birds way up north. You don't pull this shit in Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore's not a great town either, but don't be the Philadelphia Eagles of the AFC. Don't do that. That's a bad look. You let Philadelphia be the classless monsters that they are, and don't trash your own guy. He's come through for you so many times. Just forgive him. This is what forgiveness is for. Everybody fucks up. And my boss says at that moment when you fuck up, it's everything that you've done before that's going to save you. And so where has he been for you on your team all this time? How many victories has he led your team to, helped your team get? Yes, this was a crucial failure, a crucial letdown. I'm sorry he didn't catch the ball for you. I was rooting for either team because I just want the strongest team to go out there and destroy the Chiefs, rip them apart. Rip him a new a-hole. That's all I want from you guys.
Lamar Jackson didn't play his best game.
Yeah.
He fumbled. He literally just laid the football down. But he fucked up. Do I think that he's a shitty quarterback? No. He had a misstep. I mean, that's just the way it works. But I mean, he didn't play his best game either. So yeah, I don't like the fact he's getting death threats. That sucks.
Yeah, Bone Cold's kind of being a jerk in the comments. I don't know why you're going to the NFC Championship game and also feeling like you need to put me down. That just goes to show you who the Eagles are, though. That it doesn't matter that they're in the NFC Championship game. I am having one of the worst years ever, and they have to remind me how much they hate me and take a big steaming shit on my grave. This literally happened at work too, where I was trying to be amicable to one of my coworkers who's an Eagles fan. Which, how did that even happen? I thought we had standards around here, but he was just, he just shit on me. He's just like, well, my team's in the playoffs still, and I'm just like, I'm aware. Thank you for that pivotal update. And it's like, you can't be kind to the Chiefs, but the Eagles either. You cannot be kind to them because they don't have any grace in victory. And that's because their victory comes from an evil place. It comes from the devil being alive and well on the face of the earth. And
look at the piece of shit fan that got fired from his job for calling a Green Bay Packer fan a cunt.
Easy on the language there. This is a classy podcast.
Yeah, that's a quote.
It doesn't matter if it's a quote. The algorithm doesn't realize you're quoting another person.
Sorry, in quotes.
You also said the R word earlier. So if you just want to destroy this channel, you're doing a great job.
I'm working on it.
All right. Hopefully the font on the screen is sufficiently disrespectful to them. I didn't know if I should go as low as Comic Sans. If I had known how I would feel in this moment, I probably would have. All right. This is from CBS. The Eagles and the Rams score takeaways. Saquon Barkley's historic playoff effort carries the Philly Eagles to the championship. It was fun to watch. The snowy game. It was kind of an old style ground and pound game. You couldn't get much going through the air. It looked like a football game would look 100 years ago. And how were football games won 100 years ago? The answer is they were won on the ground. And the edge is that the Eagles had Saquon Barkley, a player who was totally wasted in New York, and a player who probably could have wound up in Dallas had we had the business acumen and the decisiveness in order to be able to do that. But hey, whatever. We don't even like a running game. From Philadelphia, the snow pelted all over the link in the second half, a time when the Philadelphia Eagles defense rose to the occasion. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith forced 2 fumbles in the snow that led to 2 fourth-quarter field goals as the Eagles outlasted the Los Angeles Rams 20-22. At one point, I looked at my coworker and I said, do the Rams play offense anymore? I haven't seen them on offense at any point. Yes, I'm working. I'm doing other things. I'm saving lives. But at no point had I seen the Rams on offense. Finally, I see Jared Goff out there slipping and sliding and being indecisive and getting killed. I'm like, well, that explains that. But the Rams did kind of look like they were hanging in there and making a possible comeback. So it was an interesting game to watch. Carter had a huge third down sack of Matthew Stafford. Did I call him Goff?
I think you did.
Yeah, sorry guys, I can't remember my Rams quarterback. It was Matt Stafford. In the final minute to set the Rams facing a 4th and 11 from the Eagles 22, which led to a Stafford incompletion in the next play. Not Goff. Goff had already lost. Carter finished with 2 sacks in the day to pace the Eagles defense that had the Rams number for the majority of the fourth quarter. Why the Eagles won? Saquon Barkley guided the offense to 285 yards rushing. How the hell do you do that in the snow?
Yeah, no shit.
Many of which were of his own volition. Barkley had a 62-yard touchdown run and a 78-yard touchdown run to set the Eagles up with double-digit leads. They were able to hold on throughout the game. The Eagles averaged 8.4 yards carry per game. How do you, with snow, carry the ball 8.4 yards? Does this guy just train in the snow?
Barkley was absolutely amazing. As much as I hate to say it, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, numbers are numbers.
Why the Rams lost? Well, LA put up a valiant effort to come back down 20-15 with 4:47 left, but the attempt fell just short, despite Stafford throwing for 324 yards. See, I didn't see him on offense, but he threw way more yards. Holy crap, and 2 touchdowns.
And again, numbers don't lie, but I didn't see that either. And when I read that stat, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, from what I could watch, it was interesting, but it's like I work on Sundays, so like I kind of get screwed when it comes to the playoffs. But it was an interesting week. I think the divisional round is always the best week in football, to be honest with you, because the championship week, we've only got 2 games. It's not really enough football to satisfy me. Obviously, by championship weekend, it's usually just teams I don't give a fuck about, since 1995, and so it's really hard for me to kind of get engaged. But divisional weeks, I think, is always the best week because you finally have cut it down to the very, very best teams all duking it out. And then the NFC, sometimes the NFC championship games can be kind of lame. That's happened historically. And sometimes the Super Bowl can even be lame.
Mm-hmm.
So I think divisional week is always the best week in football, but hey. So what do you think? Who's going to win the AFC championship, the Chiefs and the refs or the Bills?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be probably the Chiefs. I would love to see. Josh Allen was an absolute madman. And I would love to see the Bills beat the Chiefs. I just don't know if they can beat the refs.
Praying for you, Bills. I want to see you back in the Super Bowl. I know that there's a whole generation of people who have been born and died that never saw the last Bills to do this, but if anyone can do it, it's probably Josh Allen. It will probably be him. My prediction, Josh Allen will lead this team to victory. But somehow
I hope so.
Somehow be critically hurt and not be able to play in the Super Bowl, and it will be a very sad story. And
I want Mahomes, I want Kelsey, I want all of them to go home fucking miserable. Fucking Taylor Swift can.
I hope Taylor Swift gets a torn ACL.
I hope she writes a song about this season when they lose.
That would be nice. And then on the NFC side, I guess they say the Eagles are favored, but
yeah, I meant to take a picture of it, so I had it, but I think the Eagles were like plus 175 to win it all. The Commanders were plus 700 to win it all. I would like to see the Redskins win it because Jaden Daniels has done a phenomenal job as a rookie, being able to manage his team. I didn't see it coming, but I'm here for it. I like it, but I'd like to see the Bills. I'd like to see the Bills and the Redskins.
It would kind of harken back to an era in which both of those teams were good,
Yeah.
Like the really early 90s. Like when was the last time both of those teams were good? The Bills, the last time they went to the Super Bowl was also the early to mid 90s.
Yeah. So and they went, was it 3 years in a row or 4?
They went 4 years in a row. They lost 4 Super Bowls in a row.
I mean, that is astounding.
I would also like to see the Redskins win. Why? I mean, I don't want them to win the Super Bowl. I want to see them win the NFC Championship. Not all hatred's equal. I hate the Eagles the most of all. I hate the Eagles. I hate their fans. I hate them more than the Giants, and I hate the Giants more than the Redskins. Ironically, the strongest and most historic rivalry within my divisions between the Cowboys and the Redskins. But I'm from Virginia. I could make a blanket statement that I think the burgundy and gold is a really good look for a football team. The politics wise, I've been kind of forced to side with lots of things that go on with the Redskins, like the fact that I continue to use their old moniker on this podcast, despite wokeness, I guess. So I'm going to be pulling for the Redskins this weekend, not just to spite Bone Cold, but also just because I want to see a rookie do something amazing. And I want to see the Redskins and the Bills in the Super Bowl. I think that would be definitely a cool thing to happen. We'd be seeing some teams finally winning championships that we haven't seen in a long time. Bone Cold says that the Bills lost to the Giants, the Redskins, and the Cowboys back to back. I remember that. They need the Super Bowl to be the Eagles-Bills. The Eagles winning so that the Bills have lost to all NFC East teams in the Super Bowl. I don't care. That's a weird stat. I don't need the Eagles to be dominant in any sense. I'd rather no. This is also wrong. People saying I'm wrong. Jenny is compromised. I think she's got some friends or something that are Eagles fans. She didn't know that automatically makes them bad people. She's looking into it. I don't have to convince her though, because this is the sort of thing that will eventually just sort of come out. So when's the next episode of One More and I'm Out of Here?
Probably Sunday evening. I've got like I said, I've got my Warthog event this weekend, and Dano is on the radio tonight and tomorrow night. So I am unavailable Friday. So hopefully Sunday night.
Catherine Smith says, I only respect people that call the Commanders by their real name, the Washington Redskins. Well, Catherine Smith, this is the sports show for you, because I believe we are literally the only ones on earth that still call them the Redskins. I'm not sure you could find a sports show in Virginia if you're watching one of the, like if you're listening to an AM sports radio show out there. I'm not sure you would hear them being referred to as the Redskins, even though I'm sure many fans in Virginia probably call them the Redskins still, and probably still have the pennants and the banners and the logo. The media is not going to do that. So we do that. We do that here, Catherine. I'm glad that we are the one crappy sports show that can make you happy with the one thing that we do correctly. Is Andy Pepperdingo back?
Pepperdingo. Yes. Andy Pepperdingo is back in the 513 area code. He had a lovely time in DC, even though since they moved everything indoors, he got screwed on his seat for the inauguration. But
they've said that it was strictly for weather reasons, and Trump really hammered that home. I'm going to be honest with you though, I really wanted them to move it indoors, because like they almost killed him in Pennsylvania, and the idea that like just it was too risky. The idea that he would be shot before he could assume office or whatever. Like, can you imagine the constitutional crisis that would have caused, because him being killed before he could take office after being elected? Who's next up to the plate? The Constitution doesn't clearly define that. Would you swear in the vice president as vice president, and then there being no president? Would J.D. Vance just become the 47th president? It would be a constitutional crisis. It would be a real problem. And
wouldn't that go to the wouldn't it go to the speaker?
Right, but for what, for what, 5 minutes though? Like if he was killed before he could assume office, Joe Biden's term would just simply expire at noon, and then there would be no president. So who do you swear in though?
That's what I'm saying. I think it falls back to Biden's administration, but I don't know if it was the speaker, and I'd have to go back through.
See, it's a crisis. Well, that's what I said, is that it's not clear. Your theory is probably wrong, but neither one of us really knows. Because, like, what if he had been shot at 11:55? And I was just really worried about it, and I didn't like the idea of him being out there. I'm just like, you know what? My idea was go to the Oval Office. And I realized they can't do that, because actually I watched this really cool documentary on YouTube about how when Joe Biden leaves in the morning, they completely change out the Oval Office in 6 hours.
I saw that same shit. I saw the exact same thing.
Yeah, and how nuts it is, and how hard they'll have to work to throw Joe Biden shit out of a window, and someone else throws it in a budget rental truck. And then they replace the carpet and install the Diet Coke machine and all this. They do it in like, just a few hours. Luckily, like, the inauguration this weekend took a little bit of time, but
luckily the nursing home is just right down the street. So.
Yeah, but getting the old man smell out, how do you do that? I want him to do it in the Oval Office. Just walk in there, take the oath, have JD take the oath, and he's just like, let's do this, and then dispense with a lot of the pageantry. And that you might call that somewhat unpatriotic, un-American. I'm like, you know what? Some of this pageantry stuff, it looks really like it looks a lot like the King of England. This stuff with reviewing the troops, and the special luncheon with everyone, and the waving of the helicopter. I would have just said, okay, get this guy out of here. Kicking and screaming would Joe Biden be dragged away. He does this thing where he kind of like rolls his shoulders forward in a suit jacket and sits out and just starts signing shit. JD gets out there. I don't know. He could go do whatever he wants. Maybe JD could go do the pomp and circumstance shit. But like the reviewing of the troops, like, they stand there and just look like badass Marines. I would have said, like, listen, you guys are the finest fighting force in America. And once we get the trannies out of here, it's going to be fantastic. You guys look great. Have a great day. Don't stand around all day waiting for me to approve of you guys. You're awesome. Go out there and go kill the threats to America. The job of the Marine Corps is not to stand around looking snappy. We train you to kill people. Go do it. Go kill somebody right now.
Hey, I don't know if
Streets of Washington, go do it.
So I don't know if I told you or not. And if you listen to the Stu Scheller episode that we had, our very first live,
I remember that.
It was live audio. We didn't have video at the time. He just got picked up by the Department of Defense to hold a seat. So he is now going to be working in D.C. under the Trump administration, which I think is cool.
That's fantastic. Good for that guy. I believe he wrote a book on leadership, which
Crisis
is
in Command is the name of it.
Crisis in Command. So it's nice that we're going to have leadership back. But I wanted to just see Trump going straight into work mode, because he can be like, listen, I already did this before. We don't need to be doing all this stuff. America is in a state of emergency, and we need to start working on it. And that's what he said. I remember watching him staying up late, doing the executive orders. He signs the one that commutes the sentences of the J6 people. He's got a whole stack of these things to sign, and he says to his aide, he says, can we get that one going out to the Bureau of Prisons right now? Hopefully get them out tonight. And I'm just like, hot damn. Like, he's on it. And he goes like, throw the switch, close the border right now. All the the website, the Spanish version disappeared. All of a sudden the website's got a picture of Donald Trump on it. The app that lets people like walk into the border more easily now says we've been banned, but thanks to President Trump on it, just like the TikTok thing.
You're gone.
And so things changed immediately. Jenny says, too much of Jonathan's ire. I am a football fan before an American football fan. We'll get, nobody's perfect, and we'll work on you. And I don't know who made you a soccer fan. You suffered some sort of indoctrination, because no one naturally grows up liking soccer. No one can naturally like a game where people aren't allowed to use their fucking hands, which are way better than their feet, for 90 minutes running around like crazy kids at the mall. And then the final score is 0-0 and people are cheering. That's soccer. That's what you're excited about. All right, I'm done. I've eaten so much coffee today.
Your heart is going to.
My heart's doing 147 right now. All right, guys. The thing about America is, Jenny, is you're free to choose. Thanks for choosing our show today.
Yes,
thanks
thank
for
you.
watching. And why am I so angry? Because my dad doesn't love me. Were you not listening? All right.
I have my dad right here.
Yeah, I have my dad right here. Here, let me put him in frame so you can actually see him. Oh,
no, he's not there. Oh, he's not there.
He's nowhere. He's nowhere to me. Sorry, this joke would have worked better if I had understood the difference between left and right, but I had no one to teach me that.
I know, it fucks me up.
I have to do this, but they're both L's, so I don't know. All right, show's over. I love you, Keith. Cool. I'll talk to you later.
John, I love you. Everybody, thank you. Make sure you download, subscribe, rating, review, do all the things.
Do all the things. Tell your friends. Tell your friends we still say Redskins here. We don't abide soccer. We don't abide hockey. We'll catch you back here next week. What are we going to do in the off season?
We'll figure it out.
We should go politics. What do you say?
All right, cool.
All right.